I didn't. It's going to be Arlene. Bind Janet. Well, this isn't very UU. You're all here on time. You're early even, guys. Good morning and welcome to UUFCC. We will start with hymn number 42, Morning So Fair to See. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County. I am Ryan Richardson. I will be your service leader this morning. This month, our theme will be renewal, and our decorating gurus came in yesterday and redecorated the sanctuary, and there's some symbolism in this decor, and we have symbolism of chrysanthemums, which are from Japan. And then we have cherry blossoms, which represent the promise of new beginnings. So even if you're feeling gnarly, like the cherry blossoms, renewal and beauty are still possible. Today, we are joined with Rev Ann B, and she is doing a time for renewal. And she will be sharing some UU values through children's stories with us this morning. Whomever you are welcome here. And whatever your spirituality, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, you are welcome here. If you are looking for a church where we embrace the changing landscape of life and the renewal of our life, you may have found your home. We welcome you here in the chapel or online, either through Zoom or YouTube. And I just briefly remind everybody that we are being recorded this morning. So keep that privacy concern in mind. When we talk about each other, we make sure not to use last names, just last initial for privacy. We ask you to take a moment to silence your cell phones before the beginning of the service as well. If you are a first-time visitor or a returning visitor, please raise your hand and introduce yourself if you would.
Chuck. Oh, there's a microphone. Matt from Boston, just visiting my grandmother here.
Welcome. Now for our prelude. We will welcome Arlene to come forward and light our chalice for us. And we have a new high-tech lighters, though. We'll see how that goes. Oh, yeah, it went down.
Yeah, the wick is a little short.
Yeah. back down again. There we go. We'll figure that one out. Yeah. New technology, folks. She gave it a valiant try, though. Okay. We will recite our chalice lighting. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service its law. This is our aspiration, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn this morning is number 1054 in the teal hymnal, Let This Be a House of Peace. This is also a first, so what we're suggesting is let the choir go through verse 1. That's what I was told, but Janet says croon in.
I'm just kidding. Okay, choir, you're on.
Excellent as always. Very nice. I wrote a little piece, nothing spectacular, for today, and I call it Through the Eyes of a Child. Looking at life through the eyes of a child, new to the world, not yet jaded with cynicism, the answers seem clearer somehow, not so many shades of gray. Children have a way of seeing magic in the ordinary, finding happiness in a field of dandelions. While the grown-up removed the perceived weed, the child made a beautiful bouquet for a loved one. stomping playfully in a mud puddle and making mud pies, building sandcastles on the beach. A stick and an old metal pie pan can become a shield and a sword, just as a few couch cushions and sheets can make for an amazing fort. It takes very little to make an entire adventure and fantasy world to explore. Our world would be a better place if sometimes we could remember to look at it through the eyes of a child, to experience magic in the ordinary, to freely express ourselves without fear of judgment, to tell the truth without the fear of rejection. What if we made more dandelion bouquets for each other and approached life with honesty and not cynicism, as do the children? Maybe, just maybe, our world can be a better place. As we do this time each week, we will do our book of life, followed by dropping of stones. We ask when you come up to drop stones to keep it brief and succinct, to keep the service moving. For today, I have 3 entries, and the first one is from Debbie C., saying, I want to shout out a big thank you to everyone for your love and support during this difficult time. Our second is from Janet M., who informs us that her 96-year-old mother fell and fractured her left femur as well as her arm, and she is having surgery today on her hip. And our final entry today is from Irene to let us know that her brother Norm died last week, and he would have been 90 in December. As I once explained to my then very young grandson, Jake, my brother Ken taught me how to play the clarinet, and my brother Norm taught me how to play baseball and football. Ken died at 76 with many more notes left to play on his trombone. Norm had made it his mission to take care of his wife, Nancy, as long as she needed him, and that he did. And we pray for his eternal rest. We will go and we will drop stones in the bowl. And this is a function of community. The stones are a representation of our concerns, and the water is a representation of our cohesive community.
I feel like a short person. Thanks. There's not enough stones up here for me. I'd have dumped the whole thing in there. This has been quite a series of events these last few weeks. Losing my stepfather, and then we go in chronological order. My sister-in-law had lung cancer surgery on Tuesday. On Friday, I found out my best, I have to qualify this, female friend, Corey, was diagnosed also with lung cancer. So not been a great week, but I had a great day yesterday welcoming somebody back. So for that I am helpful. As Dave Ramsey would say, you don't get hurt riding the roller coaster unless you jump off, so I'm hanging on.
I'm going to drop this stone. I was diagnosed this week with pre-diabetes, and I have been put on a very strict diet. And I must say that when I came in and looked at the possibilities for lunch, it was very disturbing.
So I have a joy today. So many of you have asked me about this logo I'm wearing on my shirt, and most of you know it's the football team that I've joined. Well, last night we beat the other team in the playoffs, and we're going to our own version of the Super Bowl next Saturday.
I drop this last stone for all the joys and concerns in your hearts that may be too tender to speak. We will have a silent meditation followed by Spirit of Life. Please welcome Rev Ann Barker.
You might have noticed I was making some gestures. No, I have not lost my mind. I used to know all the gestures to Spirit of Life. That was a very touching piece. And Ryan, thank you for the reading you wrote. Could not have been a better introduction to what I'm trying to say to you all this morning. So thank you for that. Renewal is as simple as renewing your driver's license or your library card. Or it can be more meaningful, like renewing wedding vows. This morning, I would like to lead us through some history and information about UUism. Whether you are a lifelong UU or a long-time UU or fairly new to this religious tradition, or a visitor today who knows nothing about UUism, this is a good time to deepen your understanding of this tradition. So settle down, and I will read you a little from a few lovely UU children's books. No, I don't think you are children, obviously, nor do I think you are not actually intellectually competent to understand more complex ideas. But as Ryan expressed, sometimes looking at something in a little different way, putting our rational mind in neutral and engaging that spirit of the child within us, we see something new. All of the books I'm reading from today, except one, are from the Skinner Book Press, which is an imprint of the Unitarian Universalist Association. This one is every Sunday and every day. And this is, my bracelet just attacked my dress. Well, that's not a good thing. Oh. The beginnings of Unitarian Universalism happened more than 2,000 years ago in the days of the early Christian church. Unitarian Universalists trace their religious roots back to Jesus, who believed that we should love one another. In 1568, King John Sigismund of Transylvania believed that his people deserved the right to choose their religion for themselves. And the first Unitarian church was founded there by Francis David. John Murray brought Universalism from England to North America. And then the first Universalist church was formed in Gloucester, Massachusetts in 1779. William Ellery Channing led ministers to start the Unitarian movement in America, and they formed the American Unitarian Association in 1825. Do any of you know King's Chapel in Boston? Crystal and I jumped off a tour bus while we were in Boston for the UU General Assembly and went to King's Chapel for an afternoon service. I thought I was in a time warp back in my Christian congregation as a child. Their Book of Common Prayer is both antiquated and sexist. I asked them about it, and one of the women said, well, because it was copyrighted 1986, yeah, that's been brought to our attention. But that's the way we like it. So Unitarianism was very strong in New England. They believed that people need to take care of each other and the planet Earth. In 1961, the two faiths united to become Unitarian Universalism. Now, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, boy, I'm having trouble talking this morning, too. Can I go back home to bed and come back later? The flaming chalice. When there's a war, many people are hurt by the violence. During World War II, soldiers and airplanes were firing guns all over Europe, on the ground and in the air. Members of the Unitarian Service Committee went to Europe to help the refugees. Dr. Charles Joy was in charge of the committee. Knowing that the refugees spoke many different languages, he wanted a symbol that would be recognizable no matter what language they spoke. He engaged an artist, Hans Deutsch, and because John in English, was an artist and a refugee, he understood this project was important. We want a symbol that will look official and important, so it will impress the border guards. That's what John asked for. And we want it to stand for the spirit of our work, which is to help and serve. Hans Deutsch made a sketch of a chalice with a flame surrounded by a circle. When Dr. Joy saw it, he knew that was exactly what he wanted. Soon refugees all over Europe came to know and trust the flaming chalice, a symbol of freedom and hope during the long and difficult war. Years later, the Unitarian Universalist Association chose the flaming chalice as a symbol, and today Unitarian Universalists everywhere light the chalice when they gather for worship. And if you'd like to have a chalice in your home and don't have one, it's real simple. Go to your garden store, get a little terracotta pot of whatever size you want, turn it upside down, glue the little saucer part to it, voila. you have a chalice. The children would make them, and then we'd paint them or color them, all kinds of things to indicate this family is Unitarian Universalist. Now, here's a book I like because I was a reader and commenter for it. Unitarianism is a really long name, by Jennifer Dant. And in it, there's some great illustrations that not only make the book bright and colorful, but tell people what this community stands for. Children, adults, men and women, women and men, women and women, men and men, all together, welcoming people into their community. We have a boy and a girl working together. I like this picture because there's just everybody you could imagine, including somebody who is otherwise abled from many of us. But one of my here's a chalice lighting we used to use. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Do we pray is one question this book answers. Many Unitarian Universalists pray. Some of us have favorite prayers we say aloud or in private. Prayer is a way to help us listen to our thoughts or have a conversation with God. Prayer can be remembering what we are thankful for. Prayer can be naming things we are sorry for and promising to do better next time. Praying regularly is one type of spiritual practice. A spiritual practice helps us feel the spirit of love and see what is mysterious and wonderful about the world around us. A daily spiritual practice helps us find a quiet place inside. Even things like listening to music, painting, and gardening can be part of a spiritual practice. Can you think of a spiritual practice you would like to do? Meeting Jesus, the life and lessons of a beloved teacher. I wish more Christian churches would use this book to introduce children to the life of Jesus. The author, Lynn Tuttle Gunny, takes stories from the Bible and tells them in simple language without some of the more difficult parts to understand. She talks about Jesus' birth, that his father probably taught him the family trade, which some people translate as carpenter, others simply as workman. Joseph and Mary raised Jesus in the Jewish tradition, taught him Torah. This family celebrated Passover, and when Jesus was about 12, they went to Jerusalem, and he was a very naughty boy and got lost in the temple listening to the elders. He then traveled about teaching love, compassion, acceptance, and he loved children. There's the story of the Good Samaritan, and on to the end of Jesus' life. And this is how she explains the Lord's Supper, the Last Supper, the Eucharist to children. Once the disciples knew that the leaders disapproved of Jesus, they were worried. When they gathered for their Passover meal that year, Jesus blessed the bread and wine and gave thanks to God. "May peace be with you," he said. Jesus asked them to remember him and his lessons, no matter what happened. While I was at the Appleton Fellowship, our partner church minister from Transylvania visited us for a few weeks and learned about how we do UUism, and he taught us about UUism in Transylvania. And Then he did communion. And I kind of wasn't sure how many people would participate. But think of Bela Lugosi as a vampire. The tall black collar in the back, the long black robe that flowed when he put his arms out. It's exactly what he looked like. And what surprised me, given that this was a humanist-founded congregation, was the number of people went up to participate in this special meal, to feel that connection with our partner church family in Transylvania. Now, this book is not published by Skinner. It was published by the Appleton Fellowship as a little booklet to introduce children and families to expressing their UU identity. And these are the principles and purposes for children. We promise to remember that every person is important. We promise to treat all people fairly and with kindness. We promise to accept other people into our fellowship and help each other learn and grow. We promise to look for what is true, right, and important in this life. We promise to listen to what every person has to say and make the best decisions we can in our everyday lives. We promise to work for a world with peace, freedom, and fairness for all. We promise to respect all living things because we are all connected in the great web of life. Now, the children did the illustrations. There we've got the web of life with a spider right in the middle. We've got a cat, and you see those kinds of drawings all through this booklet. There were 3 graces to be sung submitted by Mary Jane Dunwitty, a founding member of the fellowship. She was a committed, devout, humanistic atheist. But she and her husband, Bill, wrote the most wonderful children's curriculum on the Bible that was really both informative and well done from a progressive point of view. So, and I was with Mary Jane shortly before her death in a hospice unit, and the nurse decided it was a wonderful time to talk to her about Jesus and how she was going to heaven, and I had to take that nurse aside and explain, this woman does not believe those things. She is an atheist. And the nurse's eyes just got so wide. Now, this is an explanation about what is God. People imagine God in many different ways. Some think that God is like a father or a mother who rules over us and watches out for us. Many believe that God created all things, the earth, the sky, the planets, and all living creatures, including us. Other people think God is more like a spirit, which can be found in nature, in peaceful, loving feelings, or in the best parts of ourselves and other people. In some parts of the world and in some religion, people believe there are many gods, each with their own personality and power. Some people imagine God as the sun or a bird or as something awesome that can't be described at all, a higher power. Other people believe that God is an idea invented by people to explain things that cannot be explained. They are satisfied that science will someday give a natural explanation for how we all came to be, and that the important thing is to live the best life you can. Some people think that God is a very important idea, and some people don't. To most people, God is a mystery, someone or something that we cannot see, know, or understand. Still, many believe that there must be a higher power when they look at the beauty of a rainbow or the awesome power of a summer storm or when a new baby is born. No matter what kind of God you believe in, or even if you don't believe in God, the important thing is to respect other people's ideas about God and to decide for yourself what you believe. It's okay to change your mind, too. I can recommend this little book to almost anyone. A Child's Book of Blessings and Prayers collected by Eliza Blanchard. And there are prayers, blessings from, well, Anonymous wrote a lot of them. But there are pagan chants, prayers from Native Americans, the Rig Veda of Hinduism, another anonymous. Rebecca Parker, former president of the Starr King School of Theology in California, starts off with a prayer. And so anyone can find a prayer, a blessing, a dinner grace in this little booklet. Let me go back to this one. This Eliza wrote herself. I think it's a confession we can all make from time to time. Spirit of love, I am sorry I hurt someone today. I did something mean, and I wish I could undo it. Give me the courage to say I'm sorry, and help me to become more loving next time. And this is attributed to a Christian, R. Monckton Milnes. It's more an exhortation than a prayer or blessing. Do all the good you can, in all the ways you can, to all the people you can, at all the times you can, as long as ever you can. And last but by no means least is Come Into the Circle, Worshiping with Children, written by my colleague in the Midwest District, Michelle Richards. This, I think, is a fabulous book. She puts down a lot of information about what worship is about, why we worship, elements to include in worship. And then she includes all kinds of prayers and blessings and worship programs for children about different religious traditions, different feelings we have, those kinds of things. Adults could do well to read this. This is a Transylvanian blessing. I am Unitarian. I live and work in this faith. Jesus is my guide. God is my help. We humans are all brothers and sisters. Our law is one, love. The goal of our work is shared. Happy are those of God's kingdom. Hopefully these children's books on UUism have helped you to put your critical thinking brain aside just for a few minutes and look at this wonderful spiritual tradition with the eyes of a child, with the delight. Find out what delights you, stimulates you, and keeps you coming back to this community. How does this tradition spark life and love within you and prompt you to continue the work of justice and respect for all? Have these ideas opened new vistas of living out this faith in your life and our world? On this morning, beginning of month of looking at renewal, I invite you to consider this a time for the renewal of your commitment to this spiritual journey of Unitarian Universalism, and invite you to find ways to deepen your understanding and implementation of UU spirituality. And how can we in this community help you on your journey?
Thank you, Reverend Ann. We will join in singing number 1020, Woyaya. We come to the time in our service where we give and receive of our gifts for the church. As you know, the church requires our resources to continue to offer and provide this place for spiritual nourishment and renewal. The ushers will pass the collection plate in the church. You may also use the Venmo app to donate should you desire to do that way. And now for a few announcements in our life of the community, where we showcase things going on here at UUFCC in this coming week. We have announcements on the back of the program. And so that you guys are aware, at 12 p.m. there will be a PFLAG steering group meeting today. And then they are doing brown bag lunch this Wednesday as well at noon. And a Buddhist meditation at 4:30 on Thursday. You can always check the website at uufcc.org for the current events that are going on in the church. And Rev Ann has a benediction for us, and then we will extinguish our chalice.
And now, may the blessing of life be upon us and upon this congregation. May the memories we gather here give us hope for the future. May the love we share bring strength and joy to our hearts. And the peace of this community will be with us until we meet again.
We will extinguish our chalice. And in unison, we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. May those ideals shine in our lives and warm our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace. I have one little piece to add, which was from A.A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh. It is more fun to talk with someone who doesn't use long, difficult words, but rather short, easy words like, "What about lunch?" We have a potluck this morning, so feel free to join. I would argue that the potlucks and the coffee hour are our version of communion here at UUFCC without the unleavened bread. Our closing hymn is number 1010, We Give Thanks. Go now in peace.